Did you know that us Cerridwen folks are tree botherers? We love plants and trees, both the good and the poisonous. And we are also very, very into the moon. Robert Graves, in his White Goddess, was the first one to assignate Cerridwen as a moon goddess. And he is mentioning her 38 times in the book, and her story is told in detail. He also calls her a muse and a goddess in various guises. And he highlights the specific poems in which she is mentioned, and we learn more about who she is. Celtic mythology is a network of hidden clues, and you are the detectives who wish to follow them to find out more. Graves states that Cerridwen is obviously the white sow, Cerridwen, the ancient goddess, the barley goddess, the white lady of death and inspiration, and is in fact Albina or Alfita, the barley goddess that gave her name to Britain. Graves also believed that Arianrod was one of Cerridwen's guises, and her castle, Caercythi, is the afterlife where the soul awaits rebirth. The castle is protected from discovery by an enchantment, the same one as that of Morgana's Avalon, the veil beneath which the goddess hides her face from those who are unworthy. When I first read Graves' books, it took me almost 10 years to get through it. But it is in this book where I first came across a connection between Avalon and Cerridwen. The picture of the hag Cerridwen comes from the Romance of Taliesin, where she is described as a big-mouthed, swarthy, sooty, swift, lame, and with a cast in her left eye. A typical description of a witch, not a bright moon goddess. But there's so much more that we can learn about her. In Caider Taliesin, Gwion describes the cauldron of inspiration as the sweet cauldron of 5 trees. 5 is a sacred number in Pythagorean mathematics. I'll get that out in a minute. And the Celts were well versed in this art. I'm terrible at mathematics, but the 5 does draw me. Think of all the plants we work with that have 5 petals. You see some of them here in this video, including the rose. And the rose that we have in this video is the dog rose, the Rosa canina, the oldest rose on the planet. And interestingly, in the Chinese elements, wood is included as the 5th element. The first tree in that is the silver fir, and it is sacred to the moon. The second tree is the furze or gorse. We have that in our tree circle. Graves also mentions heather and aspen and yew, again, some of our own trees that we work with. And believe me, I didn't know that that was in the book when I first pulled down the information from Cerridwen about what we needed to learn about her. The web that is woven is ever wider and deeper, and we will always find out more. There's no one who has the quintessential knowledge about Cerridwen's. But one of the stories that I absolutely love about her is Cerridwen's gift to Maes Gwenith in Gwent, with 3 grains of wheat and 3 bees. Well, obviously, being a bee myself, that tickled my fancy. To Anglesey, she gave the Paluk cat. Hence, she is also a cat goddess like Freya and Sekhmet, and it is said if you upset the Paluk cat, it would take apart the whole island of Anglesey. She also gave a wolf cub to Riu Gwerth Such. Cerridwen, in that way, is a wolf goddess like Artemis, as wolves howl to the moon. They eat corpse flesh, their eyes shine in the dark like a cat, as do pigs and boar, who also feed on corpses' flesh. Boar tasks are crescent-shaped. Follow the thread and you will find her everywhere. The pigs are sacred to the Celts, and many of the stories of the Mabinogi have pigs in them. And Cerridwen, as said before, is one of the guises of Cerridwen, the old goddess. Interestingly, only this corpse-eating sow goddess is impervious to the male magician Gwydion's rod. And if you understand what I mean by that, you've obviously read the story. And in the end, Robert Graves came to a conclusion that Arianrhod, Blodeuwedd and Cerridwen form a triad. White barley goddess, deliveress from guilt, lady of the 9 heights, queen of spring, mother of willow, Jura Reve, the immortal ones, stretched out to your oak, taunt them in your wild dance, and gather the children of Circe under the moon. As the fearful-faced goddess of destiny, you will make a snarling noise with your chops. This is a poem by Ovid, a Greek poet many centuries ago, and he was one of my favorites when I was young. And immediately there is she again, Cerridwen. From the moment that I could read, she was with me. And perhaps the goddess appeared as the triple-headed bitch, Hecuba or Hecate, on this occasion. But since Cerridwen is usually in at the death of the sun hero, perhaps the noise intended was the whinging grunt of the corpse-eating old sow of Meinir Penath, to whom skulls are masked. Or the noise was the Cahairaith. There are so many details in these stories that basically draw us in to the beauty, the terrible beauty of the dark goddess. When you think, if the old sow had the skulls that were her emblem, so does Kali. So do so many other dark goddesses like the Morrigan. When we think about the dark goddess, when we think about her power, then we think about Cerridwen, Hecate, Morrigan, Morgan Le Fay. We think about Kali and Lilith and all of those beautiful goddesses that are kick-ass and that allow us to be kick-ass ourselves. Blessed be.